Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? It's the first Big 12 home battle for the Utes as they return to the Hill for a battle against Arizona. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the program, everybody. JJ, it's been quite a week already. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to make it even more fun. First of all, our program is always brought to you by the folks at G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. Don't want to miss that opportunity to jump on board with some G2G Bars. Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and many other grocers in the refrigerated section. So there you go. Let's jump in. It is The Cut. We're going to start off the hour as we always do. This time we got a guest, Zach Smith from the Waco Tribune-Herald. So let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Joining us on the program right now, Zach Smith, Waco Tribune-Herald, covering the Baylor Bears down there in Waco on the banks of the Brazos. Now listen, Zach, I don't know what's going on down in Waco, but the folks from Provo have been absolutely shocked by what's going on. Is everybody else seeing what's going on at BYU and going, what on earth is Kalani Sitake doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot. You can't get much more shocked than Baylor is right now after what happened to them in Colorado. I don't know if there's a team, in the country that is more just gobsmacked at what happened to them last week than Baylor. So I think Baylor's got you beat there.
Well, when situations happen like this, obviously the attention is going to turn to the coach and his status. What is Dave Aranda? How hot is the hot seat for Dave Aranda in Waco?
This might. I don't think it's any hotter than it was at the beginning of the season. That game for 59 minutes of the Colorado game, they played some of the best football they have in a long time, at least since I've been here the last couple of years. And then for that one moment, for Shadur Sanders to do what he did and throw that Hail Mary, and then, for them to Travis Hunter again to make another play in overtime and do what they did, that was kind of it was shocking, but it wasn't it wasn't a bad, it wasn't poor play on their part. It kind of was, but, so I don't think that the seat is not any more hot now than it was at the beginning of the season. That game, as devastating, as heartbreaking as it was, he's still just as much on the hot seat now as he was at the beginning of the season.
Well, folks here are a little bit worried because a 10 a.m. start time is weird for BYU. They love the night games. People are calling them the Vampire Cougars. I think they do love that nighttime situation. And Utah's kind of the same way. These teams are used to being the late game. They like being the late game. And for BYU to be that 10 a.m. game, that's certainly a place that Baylor has been before and has lived in with Big 12 scheduling and all that. So how does a 10 a.m. game, rub the fan base down there in Baylor? Because here people are kind of going, I don't know about ending a game at almost midnight Mountain Time on Saturday and then having a 6 a.m. wake-up call for the players the next Saturday.
I mean, the people down here love it. This is 10 a.m., or 10 a.m., BYU time, 11 a.m., Waco
Central
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is 2 thumbs up for them because this will be the first game that starts in that early window for Baylor this season. And, since last year, and they finished with 3 wins last year, they changed everything, including they've started to practice in the morning. And so they've gotten all of their body clocks. They're all on morning time, the entire team, the entire coaching staff. And so I really think, I think I heard you guys talk about BYU's lost their last 10 early window games or something like that. So I think that Baylor is ready for it, and they are looking forward to it. And, 11 a.m., let's go. They are full speed ahead in terms of a morning start.
Well,
like that.
plus it won't be 1,000 degrees on the field. That's also a change up, I guess, for the folks down there.
It's still going to be hot, but not 1,000 degrees. That's for sure.
Well, we're curious to know who's going to be playing quarterback for Baylor. We watched Baylor against Utah, and obviously DeQuan Finn made the start up here in Salt Lake City, and then Sawyer Robertson's playing. So where are they going to go this week? Have they made an announcement?
They have not made an official announcement, but, Dave Aranda, we asked him at his weekly press conference, and he kind of hinted that Sawyer would continue to start. And, frankly, I think Sawyer gives them the better chance to win. He has been a confident player. He's been a leader. He's made the throws he's needed to make. The touchdown in the second half that against Colorado that gave Baylor a lead for, at least momentarily was it was an absolute dime that only the Baylor receiver could catch. And so that competition in the fall between DeQuan Finn and Sawyer Robertson was much closer than I think anybody anticipated. And we're kind of seeing why, because Sawyer has kind of taken that quarterback one position and run with it. So I would be shocked if it's anyone other than Sawyer Robertson.
As you kind of see how things have shaken out this year, what are the things that Baylor is doing right? I mean, obviously to lose a game late, I mean, that's the difference between being 2-2 and 3-1 was just that, and I would call it a fluke. I mean, honestly, that play, and Colorado's not a great team, but to give up that late lead and to be having, that type of a finish to the game and then a turnover to seal it, I don't know. I mean, in the end, what is it that Baylor can do that will give BYU real problems this week? Because it's still one of the better fronts that you have in the Big 12. It's a physical defensive and offensive line. What is it that Baylor can do against BYU that will be something that the Cougs are going to have a hard time with?
I really think that the Baylor defense can stack up with the best of them in the country when they're playing their best. Among the changes from last season, Dave Aranda is now calling plays. He's basically the defensive coordinator. And the last time he did that was 2019. LSU won a national championship that year. I'm not saying Baylor's going to win a national championship by any means, but that level of coaching and that level of preparedness is really coming out. And you're seeing that this Baylor defense, with some of the pieces they've added, players like Keaton Thomas, a linebacker, Kendrick Simpkins, who's kind of a safety, kind of a corner nickel player. These players have really stepped up and taken the Baylor defense to another level. And I really think that, while the secondary might have had their moments that didn't look too good against Colorado, they're really good. And that front seven has been dominant all year. So I think the Baylor defense has a really big shot to kind of shut down any offensive threat BYU can bring.
Looking at the schedule, it gets pretty tough for Baylor after this. 4 games on the road out of the next 6 after BYU. Does that add some importance to and some urgency to this game against BYU, knowing what lies ahead?
Certainly, absolutely. I think when you first looked at this schedule, when we first got this schedule, I think Dave Aranda in a perfect world would win 4 of the first 5 games. I think that Utah game was probably going to be a tough one to win. And I think Colorado and BYU are both maybe toss-ups in Baylor's mind. Now, obviously the Colorado game went the way it did, and BYU is playing at an unreal level right now, so they are much better than I think anyone expected. So I think this is an important game, like you said, especially if you want to get bowl eligibility, which I think is what it's going to take for Dave Aranda to save his job. This is a huge game, and so Baylor absolutely needs this. Even if some of those games down the road might look easier than anticipated, you never know in a conference like this. So you're absolutely right. This is a huge game for Baylor, and this is one that Dave Aranda and the Bears absolutely need to win.
Of course, Gary Bohannon is the backup quarterback to Jake Retzlaff. And describe a little bit, I guess, for the listeners who may not know what the history is there and how big of a deal Gary Bohannon was when he was there during his time. And then, to have him, transfer out, and he was at USF and he had the injuries and then to be kind of making his trip back down to Waco again and just how, interesting of a career he's had. And if a guy like him ends up in the game against Baylor, what that would end up doing and what that looks like.
Yeah, well, I need to preface this by saying this is my second year covering Baylor. So Gary left before I got here, so I never actually covered him. But I do know, I've heard plenty of this backstory. He was pretty beloved here, right? People really loved him here, and he was the quarterback that took Baylor to, for all intents and purposes, took Baylor to the Big 12 championship. And he got hurt midway through that season. Blake Shapen came in and eventually kind of took hold of the starting quarterback job, which led to Baylor's career, or Bohannon's kind of travels. So if he got in the game, I think there would be an applause for him. I think the Baylor fans appreciate what he did at Baylor during his time and where he helped get the Bears to kind of that next level. Like I said, eventually to the Big 12 title game. So I don't think there's any hatred there. There's no malice. It's all love because of what he did when he was here.
As someone who covers the Big 12, I'd love to get your thoughts on the Big 12 season so far. You are eyewitness to one of the craziest moments in the conference so far. But now that we're a week in conference play, just how crazy and unpredictable do you think this season's going to be? It feels like every week so far we've had a wild game, or crazy storylines, or a surprise like BYU, and I mean it's just been pretty nuts so far. It's lived up to the hype.
You can go down the list. Pretty much every team has something wild. Either they're wildly overperforming or underperforming, or a crazy Hail Mary like that, or even Baylor with the quarterback issues. We knew it was going to be a chaotic conference coming in. We knew it was going to be unpredictable, and it's even more so like that. So I don't know if Brett Yormark really likes that, because I'm sure he wants kind of one dominant power, or two to go to the playoff or whatever. But dang, it is week in and week out. This is the most entertaining conference, and no matter what, we're going to get a good game. So it is awesome. It's been so much fun to watch. Even if the game didn't go Baylor's way, it was an unforgettable moment.
When you look at where like you were saying, where the conference is and how wild things have sort of been. So how do you handicap where Baylor is in terms of their development? And, Dave Aranda calling the defenses, which is such a strong suit for him, obviously, but it is a change. And when you're the head coach, I mean, I know he brought up earlier in the season, that's a new wrinkle, like having to do the head coaching stuff while calling the defenses. Mm-hmm. So how do they get to bowl eligibility? And obviously, it's a program that's been licking its wounds a little bit, considering that they have such good talent that have come through there. That's why a lot of folks feel like they've underperformed.
Yeah, and the thing about Baylor and Dave Aranda is he's brutally honest sometimes, and sometimes to a fault, right? Like he told us the name of the play that right. Colorado eventually
Victory Cigar, right?
Victory Cigar. That was if I were him, I probably wouldn't have said that. But for Baylor to get to bowl eligibility, they need to learn how to both start and finish a game. They have been unable to do that against a top-tier opponent so far this year. Against Utah, they could not, start strong. Utah got out to a big lead, and Baylor's offense just disappeared. They couldn't finish. They got out, they couldn't start, and then they couldn't finish. And obviously against Colorado, they couldn't finish. So until they learn to put four quarters together, that's what's going to get them to bowl eligibility. And I, as much as Dave Aranda says, we're getting better, we had a good practice, all of these coach speak things, we haven't seen it yet. And so, for them to accomplish the goals that they want to, that's all it's going to take. And they have the talent to do it. We've seen it in spots, but it just hasn't been able to be one full game. And until they do that, man, it's tough to pick them to win anything.
In this game against BYU on Saturday, what's going to be the key for Baylor to get a win? What has to happen for them to pull off this win? I don't even think is Baylor favored.
Yeah, I think
I don't follow the line too much, but
it's a small line. But yeah,
Baylor's favored at home against a ranked opponent, which is great for them. But what do they have to do to get a win over BYU?
I was shocked when I saw that Baylor was favored, but
Right.
that was shocking. But I really think it comes down to, I know I harped on the defense there, but I really think it comes down to, can they establish the run? They have a kind of a rebuilt offensive line. The offensive line was like literally the worst in the Big 12 last year. So they kind of rebuilt that, and it's been performing pretty well. They've got a stable of 4 running backs that are pretty good. Bryson Washington is a redshirt freshman running back who had 100 yards against Air Force. That was really his coming out party, and he's really got that mix of power and speed that can give any defense headaches. So if they get him going, they establish the run, I think Baylor has a pretty good shot to win this game. But I'm still not picking them. Don't get me wrong. But if they can get Bryson Washington in the run game going, that's how they're going to beat BYU.
Well, it's going to be a fun one. Every week, the Big 12 gives us something absolutely wild to watch and cover, and so we're gonna do it again this week. And of course, Baylor now. Baylor and BYU have a history even before last year and before these two teams obviously have faced off against one another historically, and now second year for BYU in the Big 12. They get to make the trip down there to McLean Stadium in Waco. Looking forward to it. Zach Smith, Waco Tribune-Herald, jumping on the program here with us. We appreciate it, Zach. Have a fun one this weekend, and looking forward to this game between BYU and Baylor.
Should be a good one. Thanks for having me.
There you go. I got some stuff to give away, JJ.
Do it.
By the way, all of our Cougar pregame shows and postgame shows are all at the Cafe Rio down there in Provo. And it's all part of everybody needing to understand something, and that is I've changed my vibe on what I tell people to order at Cafe Rio. It's the tacos. It's a hack. The tacos are a hack. You know why?
Everybody in my family goes tacos if we go there.
That's what I'm saying. You need to do it because if you're a burrito fan,
which I am,
all you do is you get a bunch
shocker there.
You get a bunch of tacos, and then you stack them full of everything because they let you do all 12 toppings. They're miniature burritos that don't end up actually being very miniature, and they're $2.50 a piece. Taco Tuesdays every Tuesday, they're $2.49. You pack those things together, you got yourself a meal. All right. How can we get you to get on board with it? Well, let's give away a $20 gift card to Cafe Rio right now. Call in number 12, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. Caller number 12 gets the Taco Tuesday $20 gift card to use at your leisure to prove me wrong that the tacos are not the best move at Cafe Rio. I'm telling you. Ask it, and you can get and guess what? You get the dressing and stuff still too. Boom. Come on. Call number 12, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. We'll take the break. We'll come back. We've got more to go. And when we do, we've got ourselves an NFL Blitz. 2 Monday Night Football games last night that absolutely blew my mind. Not the least of which are Steven Sylvester's prediction of the Washington Commanders being in the NFC Championship game or whatever it is. Whatever the stupidities he said a couple weeks ago, and now it's starting to turn and look like Jaden Daniels is Rookie of the Year. We'll talk about
Looks
that.
Looks like we're the dumb ones.
I guess that's JJ's voice impersonation of us as a team, as a radio duo.
It's JJ and Alex. They don't know what they're talking about.
All right, we'll come back. We got more to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back. Let's try out my new cough button over here. Oh yeah, good. It's working. I'm gonna be coughing all show, but you won't hear it. It's my new commitment to you. Now with 30% less coughing, but more coughing. Mm-hmm.
You got the vid? What's going on over there?
No, I was manufacturing the cough just to try it out.
Practice coughing.
All
That's
right.
a weird hobby you have.
He's so good at coughing. Like he is just.
He puts a lot of I'm telling you, I watch it every day. He puts a lot of work into it.
Have you seen?
He's a master of his craft.
Have you seen some of the impersonations? He coughs like some of the best celebrities you know.
It's incredible. He does a great Tom Cruise coughing.
Oh my goodness! All right, hey, guess what? The NFL Blitz. Brought to you by the folks at Quantum Fiber. Your life moves fast. Quantum Fiber and the internet at Quantum Fiber is faster. Move up to tomorrow's speeds today. QuantumFiber.com. That's QuantumFiber.com. How do you get there if you don't have internet, though?
That's a good question.
All right. The Bengals are 0-3. That puts them statistically at less than 3% to be able to make the playoffs. JJ?
Uh-oh.
We're signing off on their season already or what?
Yep.
Okay. Back to
Don't
you.
ever bleach your tips again, Joe Burrow. It's your fault.
What do you think he was whispering to Jaden Daniels last night? They got together at midfield, and it was like a 4-minute, like covered up his mouth. He's like behind. He's like, "Hey man, what's going on? Can you figure something out? What are you doing? Like when you really put some touch on the ball, what are you doing? Because like you threw it way better than I did tonight." What is Joe Burrow offering as a? Is it just like, "Hey, we both won the. Hey, I won the Heisman at LSU too, so don't get so on your high horse here." I don't know what's going on. How on earth? And of course, like I said, on cue last night, Sly sending me a text message, and I told you so text message. And I love how he attached the video of a touchdown that was just thrown. I was like, we saw it. You don't need to attach the video. Did he film it on his TV too? Attaches the video, shows me this. Okay, I get it. Jaden Daniels.
You didn't listen to the video, did you?
Oh, was it him in the background?
No, but it's very funny.
I didn't.
You need to go back and listen to the video.
I rolled my eyes so freaking hard because I was like, oh gosh, here comes Sly.
It's very funny.
All right.
I'm sure he was rubbing it in too, but it's very funny.
It is funny. Okay, I'll go back and listen. But
point made.
What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to figure out about these two teams? Again, last night was the matchup of two teams acting like they were in the Big 12 for 2024. You had no idea that the Washington Commanders would be suddenly the best team right now in the NFC East. And the Bengals are the worst team in the NFC North. And that's with not very good teams in the NFC North.
Tell you what, Jaden Daniels can play.
Oh, man, good.
He was awesome. I mean, that throw he made to clinch the game. Oh, my gosh.
But the pressure, by the way, everyone was waiting for him to screw up, and it wasn't just like but people were just going, okay, he might convert a fourth down. He might convert a third down here, and they might get themselves within field goal range again. It's like, nope, I'm going to throw this to the corner of the end zone. It's going to be a perfect pass. It's going to be a perfect catch. And the Washington Commanders – and my guy Bobby Wagner is winning football games again.
I don't know what it's like to live in a world where Washington doesn't stink.
I know, and especially when they draft the Heisman Trophy winner, and then they go, all right, we'll give it a couple of years. Nope, we're going to do it right now. They're going to be good right now, and they are. And again, it's early. I don't know what the numbers are. If you're 0-3, it's like a 3% chance of going to the playoffs. If you're 3-0 though. And you're the Washington Commanders, do you go to the play? Are you almost guaranteed to go to the playoffs, or what's the deal here?
I mean, it would be tough not to, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're looking at this. I mean, at 2-1. So the Commanders 2-1, Eagles 2-1.
What are the Cowboys? Anybody know?
1-2.
Couldn't tell you.
Wait, the Commanders are 2-1. I thought they were 3-0 in my head.
No, they're 2-1.
But either way, 2-1.
Still great. I mean, this is the Commanders.
What are the Giants?
1-2.
So the same as the Cowboys.
Correct.
The Giants are the same team as the Cowboys.
Essentially.
Well, actually, they won this last week.
The
Cowboys haven't won. They're on a 2-game losing streak. The Giants have won a football game more recently than the Cowboys have. Back to you. I'm just trying to figure out ways to get on Jeremy's Cowboys here.
I hear you.
Okay.
Not hard these days.
All right, so there you go. Jaden Daniels, amazing. Oh, by the way, 4 out of 162 teams have made the playoffs after going 0-3 since 1990.
4.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
Yep. Britton Covey, by the way, speaking of the NFC East, put on IR after suffering a shoulder injury against the Saints on Sunday. I saw him come out and then not return some punts, and I thought, I wonder what's going on here. And now we know. Placed on IR. This is a guy who is legitimately has made this roster, legitimately is on this team, and is not like just getting called up every once in a while. You just don't want an injury like that to keep a guy out because you want them to have you top of mind still. So speedy recovery to
Yeah,
Speedy
it
Britton
stinks.
Covey.
He had, so just to give you some perspective on Britton, he had worked his way into their receiving rotation. He had 6 catches against the Falcons on Monday Night Football on Monday for 23 yards, and then had a catch for 11 yards early in that Saints game when he suffered that injury. He got hit. He was running down the sideline, and a guy took a shot at his shoulder, and that was that. So we hope he gets back within the 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Justin Fields still going to stay quarterback 1. Russell Wilson apparently is at full health, but they're not willing to rip away the starting tag from Justin Fields, who's now 3-0 as the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right decision?
Yes, 100%. Why would you change anything? It's not like Russell Wilson's Tom Brady right now.
No.
Right? You get what I'm saying. Like, it's not like
yeah.
Russell Wilson is Jaden Daniels right now. So you make this change, you're not going to get some dynamic replacement. Wilson's washed. So Justin Fields has it rolling, and he's making good decisions, something he didn't do in Chicago. If you're the Steelers, you just got yourself a really athletic, young, star potential quarterback that you can now develop under your roof, under your watch, in a great organization. I think it's going to be a great win for the Steelers and for Justin Fields, and the perfect spot for him. And ride this out. Don't change now. Justin Fields could be the future there.
So do you remember we brought up the Lions and Matt Campbell getting his address doxxed,
Yes.
or Dave Campbell getting his address doxxed. So the police found out exactly what had happened, and they found out who it was. Did you hear who it was? The classmate of one of their daughters. A male classmate of one of their daughters, who went on to Snapchat and decided to say, "Can't believe the idiot went for it, blankety blank, here's their address." And now, it's one thing to put the address out there as a senior in high school. It's idiotic enough. It's another thing for adults who started to drive to their home.
That's the sad part.
That's the part that sucks, because then their daughter's like, hey, there are people outside the house. And Dan Campbell and his wife were like, hey, okay. They called the police in the city they live in, and they said, hey, these people are like over at our house. The police had to hang out until Dan Campbell got back home, and even then, they stayed and patrolled the neighborhood for the days to come after that. This is where we're at. Hey, Detroit, you're not going to be able to have nice things if you're going to be so stupid about it, okay? You go to the NFC Championship game for the first time in like 30 years, and then you suddenly have the guts to be like, I can't believe you blew that game. Come on.
You don't know Detroit fans. They're nuts.
No, I know, but guess what?
They might be worse than Philly fans. No one talks about it, though.
So so now the Campbells are moving.
Sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Did you see that Kareem Hunt was on the practice squad for the Chiefs for about 2 seconds? Then guess what happened?
They activated him.
Hey, he's elevated. Kareem Hunt back in a Chiefs uniform and back playing on the big 53-man roster for this Chiefs team. You know how the NFL is. It's not for long for the league, but it's also not for long that we're willing to forget everything if you're a decent player, and we'll put you on the roster.
If you can pick up first downs, it doesn't matter what you do in your personal life.
I know, which is sad. Power rankings at NFL.com. You ready for this? Just trying to find out where my guys are. The Vikings. Any guesses where the Vikings are on the power poll?
They should be number one right now.
No, they shouldn't.
Why not?
Number one on the power poll are the Kansas City Chiefs, and they should be there. You know why?
The Chiefs have struggled to win. The Vikings are killing teams.
The Chiefs are America's team now, JJ. Ah, boy.
They're not even Missouri's. They're moving to Kansas. They're not even Missouri's team.
The Buffalo Bills are number 2, and I don't know if I disagree with that, especially considering today.
They looked good last night. Well, my goodness.
Yes. What did the final end up being? Was it 47-10?
Yeah.
Boy, it was ugly. And they were just, everything was working. Dalton Kincaid is still really freaking good. DeMar Hamlin got the storied interception of the year so far, and they absolutely rolled last night. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. We were so quick to say that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the next, the coolest thing since sliced bread after that first 2 years. We were ready to crown that guy.
Yeah.
And instead, I saw somebody. Did you see this? The Vikings, by the way, third in the power poll. Up from 12. That's still a pretty good jump.
That's a huge jump.
And somebody put together a video of Sam Darnold looking like absolute garbage for the first few years of his career, and even threw in there him going, "I'm seeing ghosts out there." They have a bunch of blooper reel type stuff from him, his Jets seasons, and of course his year with the Panthers, and then they smashed it together with insane throws that Sam Darnold is making right now. What's more impressive? What Jaden Daniels is doing right now as a rookie, or what Sam Darnold is doing after recovering so far into what has been one of the more impressive? I know it's only 3-0, but the Vikings right now, as you said, are blowing teams up, man.
It's more impressive for Darnold because he's had to overcome so much and so much doubt.
He's written
off. No
one
doubts Jaden Daniels.
He was written off.
He was a second overall pick, and I know that Sam Darnold was a number one overall, but everybody thought he was washed and his career was over. And look what he's doing right now. It's a great story, and it shows you that sometimes these teams are giving up on their quarterbacks way too early. And when you throw your quarterbacks out there too early, it can have a very negative effect. The way that NFL teams manage their quarterbacks is poor. For the most part. There's obviously some good organizations, but there's a lot of bad ones too, like the Jets. Mm-hmm. And we saw it with Zach Wilson. Same thing happened to Sam Darnold, which if you're a Zach Wilson fan, should give you hope that Zach, when he lands in the right place and the right opportunity, will thrive because he'll be ready this time around.
Very quickly to round out the top 10. So I told you 1 is the Chiefs, 2 is the Bills, the Vikings at 3, the Lions at 4, the Eagles are at 5, which I find quite hilarious. Yeah. I mean, I know they beat the Saints, and everybody thought the Saints were it. The Texans are at 6; they're down from number 3. The Packers have moved their way back up into the top 10, 7th. 8 for the Ravens, 9 for the Steelers, and the Saints at number 10. Just for a quick shout out, my Seahawks are 11. Woo!
How far do you have to scroll to get to the Cowboys?
Oh boy. I wasn't even going to give. Oh, you know what? How did this happen? So they put them right behind the Washington Commanders.
Of course,
the Commanders are 16. The Cowboys are 17 at 1 and 2. What? You have no business being right
America's
there.
team. Come on.
Come on. All right. We'll take the break. We'll come back. We've got our best and worst next. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And now, a look at traffic from the KSL Traffic Center. Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, best and worst of the program brought to you today, of course, by the folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships. Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug. Yes, the best, of course, last night, the Utah Hockey Club winning its preseason home opener 3-2 over the Kings in overtime. That was nothing if not super fun to watch. Very exciting for the fans. 12,000 almost in the stands. And yes, even with some limited view seats in there, who cares? You were in the building for the first preseason home opener. Oh, hockey. Oh, yeah, man.
It was awesome. And to win it in overtime like that, to give everybody their first taste of NHL hockey in town, it was pretty special.
How many
seconds?
seconds?
It was just a preseason game when everybody was like going nuts.
How many seconds into overtime did it?
19.
19 seconds?
Clayton Keller, 19 seconds to overtime. Game winner. Good night, everybody.
So did he have 2 goals in?
1.
So Lawson Krause. Correct.
Our good friend Alex Kerfoot.
Kerfoot put it in. I saw that.
Right.
I even told my kids, I go, hey, I've talked to. We've interviewed
Friend of the program.
Every one of these guys we've interviewed. All the guys who scored. So there you go. Pretty cool. Yes, Utah Hockey Club. There's your best. The worst. Like I said, the problem with the NFL is fans are too intense, and
Relax, people.
The Campbell family has had to move. Don't get too weird, because Dan Campbell will actually move all the way out of your state and coach the freaking Vikings if you can't figure it out, Detroit fans. Okay, so figure it out. All right, JJ, did you have fun this hour?
Had a blast this hour. Let's do another hour.
Let's do it
right
again.
now.
We'll come right back. We got more to go. Stay right here. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Want to get the latest info on Utah's newest sports franchise? Sign up for their